Let me take you back to a speck of a Dutch village where windmills outnumber people, and the most exciting thing is a cow crossing the road. That's where Samuel and Ruben Onuha started. Two Nigerian Dutch kids with nothing but grit and a knack for dreaming big. Samuel, the elder, born in '98, wasn't the type to sit still. He'd rather dodge tulip bulbs than study them. Ruben, a touch younger, was the shadow to his brother's spotlight. Less noise, same hunger. Their parents came from Nigeria, chasing a better life, but all they handed these boys was a $2 an hour gig picking flowers. Picture this: two kids, knees deep in mud, yanking pedals while windmills creaked like a bad soundtrack. It's the kind of start that either breaks you or builds you, and these two, it built them. Samuel had hustle in his DNA. By 18, while his mates were cramming for exams, he was glued to a laptop, chasing the e-commerce wave of 2016. His first stabs were flops, think dodgy sneaker shops and sunglasses no one bought. Failure stung, but he shrugged it off, kept swinging. Then came Icon Amsterdam, a menswear line that clicked. Muscle-fit gear for guys who lived at the gym but didn't have Gucci cash. It was smart, sharp, and suddenly the orders poured in. Ruben stepped up, the quiet glue, turning Samuel's spark into a bonfire. They weren't just selling trousers, they were selling a vibe and a feeling, and it paid off. Here's where it gets juicy. Samuel hit social media like a storm. 600K followers on TikTok and Instagram, lapping up his demand success rants. He'd strut, all swagger and slicked back hair, preaching hustle like a prophet with a private jet. Ruben stayed low-key, the brains behind the buzz, pushing Icon global. Their story hooked people, village kids to millionaires, reportedly pulling $25 to $30 million a year. Whispers even pegged their online courses, teaching others their secrets at $700,000 a week. From muddy fields to millions, it was a rags-to-riches fantasy story, the kind that makes you cheer or squint. Because let's be real, windmills to wealth that fast? It's got a shine that sparkles, sure, but also a whiff of too good to be true. And trust me, that whiff was about to become true. Now let's fast forward to 2024, when Samuel and Ruben Onuha swapped soggy Dutch fields for Dubai's sun-scorched sandbox. Samuel, 25 and strutting like he owned the desert, took delivery of a $600,000 Rolls-Royce Cullinan.
Just like I was saying, grateful as shit that I'm able, at this age, 24 years old, to be able to have my dream car, my ultimate dream car, delivered here.
Glossy, a beast that purred excess. Ruben rolled up behind, Lamborghinis growling in tow, their engines cutting through the haze like a brag in metal form. They didn't just rent a place, they leased a mansion on the Palm Jumeirah, all glass and swagger, the kind where you'd catch them sipping cocktails by an infinity pool while the skyline winked back. This was their peak, a desert dreamland where money flowed like oil, and the brothers played emperors in a city built for show-offs. Icon Amsterdam was their golden goose. Those muscle-fit trousers and tees, a 40% return rate, said they'd nailed it. Gym bros kept coming back, wallets open, loving the fit without the fleece. The brand hummed, warehouses buzzed, and the cash stacked high. But the real treasure wasn't in the threads. It was in the hustle they sold. Their mentorship courses, preaching the gospel of laptop to millions, were the cash cow, reportedly pulling $700,000 a week. Samuel was the face, barking, expect it, demand it, to thousands of wannabes who'd pay top dollar for his secrets. Ruben, the silent partner, kept the machine oiled, counting the dirhams while his brother flexed. Picture this: Samuel mid-reel, pacing a marble balcony, shirt half open, yelling about seizing success like it's a heist. Ruben's in the background, quieter, thumbing through stacks of cash, eyes sharp behind the scenes. It's pure cinema, glossy, loud, a desert version of The Wolf of Wall Street. But here's the rub. Not everyone's clapping. Reddit's buzzing with doubters. $50 million properties from t-shirts. Nah, mate. Threads pop up, calling their courses a scam, a shiny shell game for suckers. Whispers turn to shouts. Private jets, $880,000 3-week rentals. Drop shipping doesn't bankroll that, does it? The brothers brush it off, Samuel grinning over gold-dusted steak, Reuben smirking in silence, but the questions stick like sand in a storm. Dubai's the perfect stage for this, glamour dripping from every palm tree, but a guillotine lurking in the shadows. It's a city that loves a flex until it smells a foul. The Onuha brothers ruled it, their empire a neon blaze, untouchable, or so they thought. The glitz dazzled, the red flags waved, and the air got heavy. Something was brewing, and it wasn't just the heat. March 2025. The fall came like a hammer, loud, brutal, and inescapable. The Onuha brothers had climbed too high, flexed too hard, and in the end got sloppy. A penthouse party in Dubai, a quarter-ton of pure cocaine stashed behind mirrored walls, a crowd of influencers, escorts, and hangers-on chasing the high. The night was a blur of excess, a final victory dance before reality crashed in. And crash it did. The doors exploded inward just after 3 a.m., a black wave of UAE drug enforcement storming through in riot gear. Chaos erupted, screams, bodies hitting the marble floor, phones snatched mid-live streams. The brothers barely had time to register what was happening before they were yanked out of their designer thrones and slammed into the cold, unforgiving ground. Dubai doesn't play games with drugs. There were no rights read, no second chances, just steel cuffs, barking orders, and the silent horror of knowing this was it. Social media went into meltdown, TikTok flooded with memes, drop shipping to drug shipping, trending worldwide. Their fans cried foul, setup, entrapment, jealousy-fueled takedown. The haters had a field day, always knew they were frauds. Criminal masterminds, more like dumb and greedy. Their empire, built on internet bravado and whispered deals, teetered on the edge. Accounts went dark, associates vanished, and luxury cars sat abandoned in Dubai parking lots, collecting dust instead of admiration. The real nightmare, though, wasn't the online circus. It was the legal meat grinder they were about to be fed into. The UAE doesn't do slaps on the wrist. 250 kilos? That's 25 years at best, life or even execution at worst. No cushy white-collar prison, no buyouts. Just a concrete cell in the middle of the desert, where time stretches long, and mercy is a foreign concept. Their lawyers scrambled, but in Dubai, money only moves so much when the charges are this heavy. Speculation ran wild. Who talked? Someone had to. Was it the escort who got cold feet? The jealous investor left out of a deal? Maybe it didn't matter. Once the authorities had them, there was no wriggling out. The Onuha brothers, once kings of the hustle, were now just 2 more prisoners in a system that didn't care about past glories. Their faces, once symbols of success, now plastered on news bulletins with words like traffickers and international syndicate beneath them. The fall wasn't just theirs, though. It sent ripples through the entire world they built. Affiliates panicked, some vanishing overnight, others scrambling to rewrite their legacies. The wannabes who idolized them suddenly found their hero worship a liability. The game had shifted, and the Onuha brothers had become its latest cautionary tale. Another set of young kings who thought they were untouchable until the world reminded them otherwise. And so the empire crumbled, not in a slow decline, but in a single violent night. The money, the power, the illusion of invincibility, it all ended in a Dubai holding cell, staring down a future where the only thing left to hustle was time itself. Al Awiyah prison, where ambition goes to die, where the heat suffocates, time drags, and no amount of money, charm, or Instagram followers can bend the system. The Onuha brothers, once the architects of their own mythology, now just two more inmates lost in a bureaucratic nightmare. Their empire frozen, their assets seized, their futures dangling between sentencing dates and desperate appeals. The UAE legal machine doesn't rush, and in this kind of game, limbo is its own form of slow death. Outside, the wreckage spreads. ICON, once a cash-printing mentorship program, now a liability. Students demand refunds. Affiliates cut ties. The masterminds behind how to escape the 9-to-5 couldn't even escape a police raid. Corporate brands distance themselves, luxury watch deals vanish, private jet partnerships dissolve. Even their closest allies start rewriting history, scrubbing old collaborations, pretending they never shared the stage with the Onuha brothers. In a world that moves at algorithmic speed, loyalty is a short-lived currency. The diaspora feels the sting. The Onuha brothers were proof that success was possible, that two boys from nothing could crack the code. Now, just another pair of fallen idols, their downfall feeding into every tired stereotype. Some call it a setup, a takedown engineered by jealous rivals or hidden hands. Others shake their heads, too greedy, too loud, too reckless. Either way, the shame lingers. A lesson disguised as a scandal. Theories multiply. Maybe they'll beat the charges. Money still talks, even in Dubai. Maybe they'll cut a deal, serve a few years, then slip back onto the scene under new names. Or maybe they'll rot, becoming relics of a cautionary tale told in YouTube documentaries and Twitter threads. The internet never forgets, and the Onuha saga is too good, too tragic, too messy to fade quietly. The entertainment machine is already warming up. A Netflix documentary is inevitable. The rise, the crash, the unanswered questions. Interviews with ex-partners, rivals, old friends willing to spill for the right price. Leaked voice notes, unseen footage, AI-generated deepfake reimagining of the moment the handcuffs clicked. On X, conspiracy theorists weave wild threads. Were they the real kingpins or just fall guys? Who benefited from their fall? Who pulled the strings? Onuha files trends, amateur sleuths dissecting every frame of their old content, looking for signs they missed. Inside, Samuel dreams in blueprints, business models, comeback strategies, escape routes that don't exist. Ruben just watches the sun rise and set over concrete walls, already mourning the life they lost. Once they moved like gods. Now they're waiting for a verdict that might never come. So, what were they, in the end? Criminal masterminds or reckless fools? Architects of their own demise or players in a rigged game? Kings of the hustle or just another set of pawns? The world is still deciding, but the final chapter hasn't been written yet.